What's up, bud? It's Rob. This is Apparel Success. I've been referred to as the clothing Jesus for the type of content that I'm going to share with you right now, where I want to share with you real secrets for how to sell t-shirts and your clothing brand online. Because we're going to get into the underlying mechanisms at play, why people wear clothing, how to create clothing that people actually want to wear, rather than creating this clothing that nobody seems to find value in. And there's this mystery there as to why people aren't buying the clothing that you've created. All of that's going to be squashed in this video. It's all going to make sense for you, and it's going to make it so much easier for you to create clothing that people want to buy. I really hope you enjoy. Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at BrandCrowd. BrandCrowd's a logo maker tool. You type in the name of the logo you want to have made, hit enter, thousands of logos will come up. You choose the one that you like. You can edit and refine that logo as long as you want for free until it's perfect for you. This is a design that I had made for my own clothing brand using BrandCrowd. If you're interested, head over to brandcrowd.com/apparel success and you can get 66% off at checkout. All right, so a massive advantage that you're going to get from watching this video is that it's extremely rare for new clothing brand owners to have any profound insight into the psychology of clothing at all. And so if you look at business in general, there's something known as a value proposition. And most people, when they start up clothing brands, when they start up a t-shirt business, don't understand what their value proposition is at all to the market. They don't really understand the deeper levels, the real reasons why people are going to want to buy their clothing. They come out with a clothing brand because they want to consume themselves, right? They're not coming from this producing standpoint. How can I create the best clothing possible and really understand the value that I'm creating for people? They're coming from the place of them wanting to be successful, them wanting to make a lot of money. And so they just create these t-shirts, they create this clothing brand without any real understanding of why people will want to buy and what's really going to offer their customers the most amount of value. So the real secret to being able to sell your clothing brand that you've created in numbers, moving a lot of product relatively easily, is by understanding the value proposition of your clothing brand and the value that you're giving people when they buy your clothing. And the value that you're giving people comes back to identity and culture. And I want to explain this to you through a couple of different examples. I want you to imagine a professional soccer game that's going on. Half of the fans are going to be wearing jerseys supporting one team. The other half of the fans are going to be wearing jerseys supporting another team. And the fabric alone is the same. It's just the logo that's different and what that logo represents. And the symbolism there can either create hate from one person to another because they're wearing different things and they're supporting different tribes and they're a part of a different culture, or it can build friendships. And what you're saying is, I'm a part of this tribe. I'm representing this and they're representing that. And that's essentially what we've been doing as human beings with clothing since the beginning of time. And when it comes to the reason why so many people suck at selling clothing, at creating clothing that people want, is because they're creating clothing that isn't able to connect on any identity level. And it's not actually connecting with a culture that people want to get on board with. And so before I start to get comments here about how people don't buy clothing based on brand concept, they buy based on designs and the aesthetic of the designs. The aesthetic of the designs and how the designs look and how the clothing is shaped is fitting into a particular identity, and it's fitting into a particular culture. And so even though the brand concept may not be laid out in a logo that says K-Bud representing rural Canada, where it's laid out like directly like that, it's implied in a lot of different clothing brands just based on the style of the designs alone and the shape of the clothing alone. It's meshing in with a certain culture. It's meshing in with a certain identity. And there's certain clothing brands that pop up that do that better than others, and those brands are able to sell much easier, and those are the ones that are getting sales. And this is why one of the smartest things that you can do for your clothing brand is rather than coming up with the idea for your clothing brand one day randomly while you're in the shower, like, oh my God, this is the idea that I'm going to come up with for my brand. Instead of doing it like that, where it comes up out of nowhere, actually observe people and actually observe cultures and understand what people's identity are. What do people really truly identify with? And what's the culture like? And creating something that hasn't been done yet before, that's going after an identity that's already existing. That's the best way to do it. And that's really a form of market research, because what you're doing is you're creating a brand that is actually going to be for a group of people, rather than sort of coming up with this idea that's based on these sort of abstract ideas that isn't really as connected with culture and with identity and with reality. And so, when I came up with my brand, I didn't really know all this stuff. I hadn't really studied this, and I didn't have this understanding. But where my brand came out of, K-Bud, it represents rural Canada, and it's slang that we use in Canada here. Thank God it came from a real place, from a real culture that I was actually then able to chisel and connect with, because all of my clothing then became for that group of people, for that identity that was really existing. And so you could say literally that I got lucky through doing this, because at the beginning, I didn't intentionally come up with this idea to go after that audience. I thought up my idea because of, something that we were saying that came up organically, which is obviously another great way that you can come up with an idea. But just to recognize that what it's coming from, what you're going after, is this deeper identity, and you're trying to really mesh with that as much as possible. Literally, the more that you mesh with that and the more that you connect, and it's just like that perfect synergy with that culture, the better results you're going to get for your clothing brand, the more people are going to resonate with it, and the more people are going to want to buy it. I've been doing brand reviews. I've been working in this space for 6 years now, so I've seen hundreds of brands. One of the most common big mistakes that I see is new streetwear brands coming up that have a stock hoodie, they print a logo on it, and then their brand represents something like positivity, okay? And then they wonder why they're not able to get sales yet. And it's because the logo isn't contributing to the culture in any unique way that is really stylistic, where it's like, wow, this is like really cool. I really want to wear that because it's, meshing with the culture. And their brand concept is so general and generic that nobody can really sink their teeth into it. And it's just kind of people aren't really able to identify with it. And so it's not based in anything real. Their brand isn't actually contributing to culture at all. And it's not something that people really want to wear on their bodies to support. And that's what all of this comes down to. And I hope that by understanding this, you're able to look at your own clothing brand and see, well, what exactly is the culture that I'm going after? Am I going after the skateboard crowd? Am I going after the hip hop crowd? Like, what exactly is the culture that I'm contributing to? And what exactly is the identity? And why are people going to wear my clothing? What's the value in it? This is where it all comes back to, is what's the value in it? And once you get clear on that and you nail that in, then people are going to want to jump on board and want to buy your clothing. So the secret to selling t-shirts online and selling clothing online is to create something that people will want to represent on their bodies as an expression of themselves, of an expression of who they stand for, who they are, what their interests are, what they represent. That's what this whole game is all about. That's why there's so many successful t-shirt businesses that come out and just sell t-shirts with movie quotes on them. Is because people see that and they go, oh my God, that's my favorite movie. And then they buy the t-shirt and they wear it to represent their favorite movie that they like. Maybe it's Back to the Future or Star Wars or something. People wear that because it's an expression of who they are. It's an expression of the culture that they're a part of, the subcultures that they're a part of. That's what all of this is coming back to. And, once you see it on this level and you really understand it, creating a successful clothing brand and building a brand isn't nearly as hard. You just get clear on who you're going after first, and then you build a brand for that particular identity, and everything that you do comes from that place, and it makes it so much easier. So I really hope that helps you grow your clothing brand and sell your clothing a whole lot easier. To help you flush this out and to help everybody else in this community, write in the comments below on this video who you're going after with your clothing brand. It'll be cool to see the different clothing brands that are watching these videos and the different niches, the different identities, the different cultures that all of us are trying to sell our clothing to and creating clothing brands for. And by doing that, it'll be a great exercise for you to really get clear on this. So it'd be cool to see that. It'll be a cool exercise for you. And if you got a lot of value out of this video, please hit the like button for me. It really helps me get these videos out there. And if you haven't already, check out my free clothing brand marketing masterclass. All you have to do to get access is go to apparelsuccess.com/masterclass. You can watch the whole thing for free, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.